Europees Parlement om naar voren te komen en het uitspreken van zijn overweging. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. Martin Schulz, President of the European Parliament, to come forward and deliver his address.
Mayor Schulz, Ms. Pullman-Trümmers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation to address you tonight. This is for me an exceptional moment, an exceptional honor to be invited here not only as the representative of the European parliamentarians representing 28 nations and 500 million European citizens. It is for me an honor to speak to you on the 4th of May, 70 years after the end of the Second World War, as a German. I'm a representative of the German nation in the European Parliament. And I'm well aware that it is, for me, an everyday duty as a representative of my country not to forget about the responsibility we have as Germans until today and also in future in Europe, because what happened also here in the oldest city of the Netherlands happened in the name of the German nation. For sure, a nation led by criminals, misled by dictatorship, which was prepared to commit unprecedented atrocities. Misled by the Hitler-Nazi gang, who brought whatever is possible on crimes over the nations of our neighbors, and especially over the Jewish all over Europe. I'm very grateful to the Jewish community that I could read out, amongst others, some of the names of the Jewish citizens of your city. The goal of the Nazis was to make them disappear. Never. The names should be mentioned in future. They should disappear. Extermination and Lösung was the German word. Final solution. But whenever a name of a victim is mentioned today, whenever a name is called, as we did it here, this is the proof that they lost and that we won. That those who fought for dignity, for respect, for the individual rights of everybody, for freedom, Freiheit ist Belangwerk, yes. That those who fought for these goals at the end, after all the sacrifices and all the victims, won the fight. And therefore, memory is exceptionally important. Ladies and gentlemen, if you, together with me, would remember only 5 years ago, the 4th of May 2010, 5 years ago, it's a short time. For me as a German, as longer I think about Europe, it is ununderstandable how it was possible that 1950, 5 years after the end of the Second World War, European nations were prepared to open the doors for my country to join the European Community for Coal and Steel. The Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, Italy. 5 years after the events we see on the photographies, 5 years after things happened as you just described and told us, those who suffered under German Nazi occupation and crimes allowed to us to get back to the family of democratic nations 5 years later. The nations in Europe were prepared to draw the necessary consequences, to overcome hate, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, to fight against the demons of the 20th century, ultranationalism and this ideology, thinking because your nation or the race to which you belong is better than others and therefore you have the right to kill. 5 years after the Second World War started with a kind of generosity I have difficulties to understand until today. Nevertheless, one of the most successful periods we ever had on our continent. A 70 years time of peace, mutual respect, and guarantees of individual rights. Ladies and gentlemen, the demons of the 20th century are still alive. Anti-Semitism growing in Europe. Ultranationalism growing in Europe. Xenophobia growing in Europe. Hate against minorities growing in Europe. The demons are always alive. They are always active. We won the battle, but not for eternity. The fight is a daily fight, and it's a fight of every new generation. Therefore, I'm very happy to see such a lot of young people. Therefore, I'm happy to listen to young girls with poems. The German philosopher Theodor Adorno said in 1951, "There is no poetry after Auschwitz." There is poetry after Auschwitz, and it's good that there is poetry after Auschwitz. That we in the Europe of today can meet in the church, Christians and non-believers, Jewish, leftists and rightists, Germans and Dutch, on the basis of a common will, that we have to do everything across borders, not only physical borders, between the Netherlands and Germany, for example, across cultural borders, across linguistic borders, that we have to do everything across borders, common, to avoid that the demons can win once more. This is our task, our goal, our duty in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, Edmund Burke, an English philosopher, said once, "For the victory of evil, it is enough that the good people don't act." That's true. Those who want to fight for dignity, for mutual respect, must not become politicians. But the moment when it is necessary, they must stand up. The Stevenskerk is full tonight. My full respect to those who fought for the freedom of your country. They fought not only for the freedom of the Netherlands, they fought for the freedom of all of us. Thanks to you, Mayor, that you invited me to give a chance to a German 70 years after the Second World War to address a Dutch community. It shows we were successful, but every success, sooner or later, is threatened if we believe that democracy, freedom, respect, tolerance is coming like sunshine or rain. No, every day we must fight for it. Every day we must defend it. Not as Germans, not as Dutch, not as Belgians or Italians or Americans or Russians. As human beings, this is our duty. And in this sense, ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude by making an appeal. Mutual respect, tolerance, the fight against hate, and the cooperation across borders between countries and nations, that's the sense of Europe. Not our single market, not the debate about our currency. If we have problems with our currency, we will solve them. If we have problems in our single market, we will solve them. If there is social injustice, let's fight for more social justice. If there is not enough growth, let's fight for more growth. Let's discuss about the best way. But let's not 70 years after the Second World War put in doubt the basic values of our European success: mutual respect, tolerance, and the appeal to all of us, never more. Thank you very much.